inclined to pride. I mean, this is a terrible joke, but like, considering the thing that we read just a few minutes ago, it's probably not going to pride. You get it? Yeah, anyways. Welcome back to Life is Strange 2. Last time we played, we had a lot of conversations about therapies, if we can call it that. Anyways, we also hid in a closet and just barely escaped. Barely. Let's get back to our barely escaping situation. Oh.
Man, that was crazy. I really thought you...
Sorry. Jane. Searching the closet I was just in.
Only random stuff.
Like us.
Okay, we shouldn't be here. Are you ready?
Look at all this stuff.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Maybe we can find more.
Yes.
But be quick.
We should shut these curtains.
Does she read anything else?
Very cynical. What other stuff could we get from this cabinet? Apparently, if our reverend has...
I can't believe this type of shit still happens today.
Oh. This is like details on the conversion therapy. Consider this a bit of a disclaimer. When we're talking about religion or things like that, religion in general can be very healing for a great deal of people, and I recognize that. When in these videos, when I'm talking about like religious groups, I'm often talking about like fundamental religious groups, as in religious groups that are often extremely strict, do not have a lot of flexibility for people within that religious group, do not often have open-mindedness. So don't listen to new ideas that often come with how society progresses, hence like why it's called fundamental, right? So the idea that if you feel like religion has been helpful for you or has been a part of your healing, cool. You're not like what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these organizations in general. Because we have research that shows that certain things are just like not helpful for our mental health. And that's why I point these things out. Because we have research, for example, with conversion therapy that show that conversion therapy does more harm than good. We just have buckets of research to back this up, which is why pretty much every professional licensing board that exists out there when it comes to doctors and nursing and therapists has said, like, this is shitty. This is not the professional way that they have said this in their formal statements. But they've basically said, like, this is shitty. This does more harm than good. We're not standing behind this. Because they've recognized that this, again, does more harm than good. It's illegal in several countries for this very reason. But unfortunately, in the United States, like less than half of our states currently at the time of like putting this out, less than half of our states have made this illegal in some way, shape, or form. It's like a weird limbo of like how it's illegal. So unfortunately, there are people who live in an area where conversion therapy is legal. Conversion therapy is seen that is controversial, and there's like a lot to unpack with that. I don't know how else to say that, quite honestly. Because again, like we have this research that shows that people have higher suicide rates and higher feelings of depression and all of these things when it comes, like when they have experienced conversion therapy. And oftentimes then these places that do conversion therapy go by different names, like reparative therapy. And honestly, I don't even like the word therapy being in there because it implies that it's professional. It implies that it has evidence behind it being effective and all that other stuff. Like when we go to a therapist, we have this expectation that what they're doing, it like has evidence behind it and that it's helpful and all that other stuff. And when the word therapy is in conversion therapy, it feels that way. It feels like the term therapy has been hijacked for that. I'm not a fan of that. We have all of this research that basically goes against conversion therapy. But in America's political system, it gets debated. I don't know what else to say about that. This entire concept makes me very sad. I don't know if there are licensed therapists who participate in or like help with. I have no idea. I am a huge believer in it is always something that you can do to like ask a therapist. Like, what are your beliefs on this? That is always something that you can do because it helps you have a better understanding of like where your therapist stands on things. And if you basically agree with your therapist on things, that'll only strengthen the relationship with your therapist, which when we have a strong relationship with our therapist, that only like that's the biggest thing that determines how basically successful therapy is. One thing that I wonder, so we have this pamphlet that says like trained counselor standing by. If we have an organization that is already purposefully like sneakily changing their phrasing on things, so maybe they're not calling it conversion therapy, maybe they're calling it reparative therapy. Are these, I look at this like, okay, so when they say that they're counselors, are they licensed mental health counselors or are they not? Because at that point, if you're already being fucking sneaky, you might as well go all the way. Like, this kind of a brochure is basically marketing. If you're already being deceitful, that kind of marketing doesn't have to be honest at that point. It's kind of like how some schools have guidance counselors where, like, yes, they're doing counseling and that, like, they're counseling someone for, like, what may be a good fit for them for college. But in my experience, most guidance counselors at, like, high schools aren't, like, licensed mental health counselors. So when we use the word counseling for a job description, it does not necessarily mean that that person is a licensed mental health counselor. Just like camp counselors at a camp, right? They're not licensed mental health counselors, but we use the same word. And if someone is running an organization where you're already kind of purposely being deceitful or creative, if you will, with your wording, why stop at just the name of the place? Why not have it apply to the word counselors too? This idea that nobody is born gay either. So this is about Jacob. Secretive? Well, no fucking shit. Because if you are growing up in this religious area, town, you probably have an inkling of, like, you probably know their perspective on this stuff. You've probably heard the phrase of, like, pray the gay away. Like, refuses to compete in sports. That's, like, not a sign of anything. Shows little interest in girls. Questions the scriptures. Again, not all of this is a sign of anything. Jacob feels shame. Yes, Jacob feels shame. So let's, and this is the part, like, this is why conversion therapy is awful. Because it takes something that is already extremely difficult, like our gender and our sexual identities, it is something that we are born with. Like, we have the research to back this shit up too. And this is how I look at it, is when we are part of the LGBT community, we're essentially being a part of a minority group within society. A minority group that is not always welcomed with open arms, if we're being honest. We just have to look at the example within the game to kind of see how that plays out. Why would somebody purposefully choose to be part of a minority group where they're not welcomed with open arms with society? Where some people argue whether they have the right to be married or not. Like, that, the idea of that being a choice does not logically make sense to me. And the whole idea of conversion therapy is built upon that. It is built upon this idea of it is a choice, and we will force someone to make the choice that we decide is the better choice. So it also has this feeling of power and authority and very, like, patriarchal and very, like, that kind of a feeling where it's like, I know more than you, and I'm going to force you to make the choice that I know is best for you. I feel the Lord working through me to save Jacob from himself and the temptations of sin. Because isn't that exactly what I just said? Like, that sentence right there is the same kind of feeling to it, where it's like, I know more than you, therefore I'm going to help you, even if you don't want the help. Like, that's just, I have told his parents that he must attend daily prayer sessions with me until we cast out his confusion. This is a test of my faith, and I will not fail him or Jacob. That also feels very much like making it about me. Liar, nobody is born gay. Imperative therapy works. Yay. Guaranteed testimonials. Also, why do all these sentences have an exclamation mark? Like, how do you define whether it works? Because again, like, I'm coming from this perspective where we have like evidence-based, peer-reviewed research that shows it does more harm than good. But if we define working by saying, well, they tell us that they're not gay anymore, then you could put it on a flyer and say it works. And if someone's main goal with bringing their kid to one of these camps is to make their kid straight, then by their definition too, it works. But what about that person's mental health? Because to me, that feels like the bigger picture. That's really like, that's more about caring about the person. Jacob's note to another boy. Hi, Bruce. Meet me in the parking lot at 11 p.m. Be careful. Can't wait to see you again. I sure hope that you at least had a conversation with Jacob, because otherwise this could be just like meeting a friend, quite honestly. Like, I sure hope you had a lot more evidence.
Oh, shit. Why did Daniel tell her so much?
Oh. This is Daniel's file. Daniel. My first thought was like, oh God, don't send Daniel to conversion therapy. I hope this is not it. What happened to Daniel in Seattle? Does anybody know what he can do? Search for any living relatives. Daniel's personality traits: missing mother, likes to be creative and build things, trains his gift regularly, doesn't remember everything or doesn't want to. Again, trauma. Pouts too much, spoiled. Really? Like, you just talked about how there's trauma. But then you shame, blame, and guilt him for how he acts because of that trauma. Misses old friends. Noah, Lila. Likes to watch my sermons. Mumbles in his sleeps. Loves Choco Crisps. Today, Daniel told me about his layover in Beaver Creek, Oregon. He was hiding out at his grandparents and made friends with another boy like him. Chris? Of course, he wanted to stay. The police showed up, but Daniel wasn't clear about what happened next. Well, yeah, because again, trauma. Like a trauma flavor text with all of this. I know he's holding back, but the Holy Spirit will free him from his sins of omission. There's a lot of focus on like, if something happens or doesn't happen, it's because of this thing. And I feel like, you know, it's because of the Holy Spirit, it's because of Jesus, because of whatever. And the hard part for that, about that, is eventually that feels like it's a barrier to communication. Because how hard are we going to try to actually talk to somebody if we just tell ourselves, oh, well, it's just the Holy Spirit? I guess that's how it feels to me when looking at these letters.
I knew this guy was sketchy, but... Whoa.
What is this? John Bowen. I'm sorry. Just the top text is lovely. John Bowen, 1978. So whoever this is an adult? Is this the guy with the gun? Incarcerated in Salt Lake City from 97 to 2008. It's a decent chunk of time. Still has contacts among white gangs. Oh. Like a certain flavor of white gangs? I feel like that's some subtext there. Otherwise, like, what? I feel like the game like wants to say certain type of white gangs without saying it, because otherwise, why describe them as white? Quite honestly. Strong faith, but never read the Bible. I don't know why I'm surprised, just considering the sentence above it. Former meth addict. Sensitive topic. Fucking hell. Inclined to pride. I mean, this is a terrible joke, but like, considering the thing that we read just a few minutes ago, it's probably not going to pride. You get it? Yeah. Anyways, this is this like is this like your stereotypical white supremacist? Shit. Three newspaper clip. 3 teenagers rob liquor store, owner shot dead. Is that why you went? Also, based on when you were born, like you were 19? I'm bad at math. When you went to prison. 3 teenagers robbed liquor store, owner shot dead. On the night of September 20th, a group of masked young men broke in Sally's liquor store, South Salt Lake, under the influence of alcohol and drugs, probably meth, considering what we read. They beat the clerk and stole the cash register when caught by the store's owner. On their way out, the oldest man pulled a gun. Oh, that was the oldest? Okay, if this is you. You were what? 19? You were the oldest? Damn. Pulled a gun and... we can assume how that ends. Letter. Dear Elizabeth, I found your address in my jacket this morning. What? And remembered how I ended up in this motel room last night with a meal in my stomach and a warm light in my chest. I can't thank you enough for what you did. Your kind and patient words pulled me out of a downward spiral I've been falling in for weeks. If I remember correctly, you said you were looking for hands to help build a... Nicholas. Is that the name of the guy with the gun? This... if so, this adds a lot more flavor. Not in a great way. In my mind, he was already extremely dangerous. Just by having a gun. Okay, processing. This game has so much shit in it. I will never stop talking about how it's like, oh, cool, we got like racism. It's a lot of racism. There's a fucking lot of racism. And now, just everything. Great. Fantastic. Oh, what's in the desk? Haven't even looked at all this yet.
Fuck.
Oh, this is about us.
Serious research.
Diaz clippings.
Still acts all naive.
Oh, because if acting naive benefits her in some way, she would be very motivated to act naive. Diaz clippings. Police search for suspects. Sean and Daniel Diaz. Seattle shootings ignite protest. We've already kind of seen these. Drawer was in the drawer. It's in the box.
Seriously, how can she ignore that?
So, a letter from one reverend to another? Dear Reverend Fisher, I hope you'll forgive. I like how Sean reads faster than I can. I hope you will forgive what must feel like an intrusion into your church and beliefs, but I have great respect for what you've built over the past decade. I have no doubt the Lord has chosen you for a reason. I am a longtime personal family member of the Hackermans. Hackerman, that's Jacob's last name. Including their precious daughter, who has had too long a time of illness. Yeah. Blessedly, there is some medical help available that her family has, however, declined due to your advice. Oh, so this reverend is stepping in being like, don't be dumb. Let her get medical care. They see her pneumonia as a spiritual problem that only you can solve through prayer. I, of course, have thoughts. While I believe that is partially true, I believe that we have to work with the miracles provided by medicine. I hope you can see the severity of this situation, as I feel some personal responsibility for Sarah Lee and her family, who are devout people. I'd like to talk next week if possible and hear your take on this matter. I hope you are not offended by my outreach. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Sincerely, Reverend something. This is what I mean with the difference between like fundamental religious like structures and organizations, and like as a system, those systems and how they impact people, and organizations and systems that are not that way. Because when we have like fundamental is very much like going back to roots, right? And not being as flexible as society is when we're talking about like society's progress and things like that. And there's this element of rigidity when we talk about like fundamental religious groups and organizations, and not having the ability or capacity or not wanting to be open-minded enough to have that element of like flexibility that comes with progress, right? That feels like an inherent part of what we talk about when we talk about this stuff. Because there's that element of rigidity when we say, no, you absolutely can't have this type of medical care, but that hurts people. And it's killed kids. I'm sure it's killed adults too, but like the kids are the ones that you see in the news, right? And this stands out to me so much because you have literally another leader within the church trying to call this reverend out, trying to call Lisbeth out and say, like, this is not okay. So within the bigger organization, Lisbeth has created her own like fundamental religious kind of subgroup. When you have one religious leader calling out another one, like that's how that sounds to me. Because this religious leader is basically saying, like, don't get me wrong, like prayer, faith, belief, all of that has a place and a purpose. But sometimes the way that prayer helps is when we use the things that are given to us. It's when we like choose to go to the doctor and choose to do medical choices or whatever however you phrase that sentence. That was a bad sentence. Like that's what this religious leader is saying. It's not that we sit back and literally do nothing, right? It's basically like, let's, use the blessings, if you will. I know that word can kind of feel iffy, like depending on our own personal belief systems, but I feel like for this religious leader, blessings would probably feel appropriate, where it's like, let's use the blessings that medical science has given us, and maybe then through that, like the miracle of healing or whatever might happen. But obviously Elizabeth doesn't agree with that, or Elizabeth wants the power and control that maybe she gets by being the one to make that decision, or being able to influence the parents, like that kind of thing. Because why else then even hide the medical records? It's on the laptop.
Is she actually scared of me?
Well, if you can influence Daniel, I can see why. That's a lot of power that, like, there's the potential. Sean has the power to take away, like, her power with Daniel. Fellow members, I'm sending you this message as a warning that our church may have a disturbed stalker. It claims to be Daniel's brother. We are his brother. Also, literally, Daniel said, that's my brother. Feels like some lying. Just saying. He is a Mexican teenager with one eye between 16 to 18 who calls himself Sean. He calls himself that. This does feel like scrambling. Do not engage him in any way if you happen to spot him. So kind of like trying to tell her followers, don't talk to him because he might have a chance to like say something that will let you know that he is Sean. Kind of like what happened with the little girl. Do not call the police. Yeah, because once the cops are there, they'll take Daniel too. Alert me or Nicholas. It is Nicholas. Damn. Nicholas was the one who did this shooting and like has the white gangs. He must not be allowed near Daniel. Yeah, like Daniel is some golden goose that she desperately needs to protect. He must not be allowed near Daniel or any other members of the church. I pray I've not alarmed you, but we have a responsibility to protect ourselves from any outside threat. Bless you all for your faith, love, and strength.
Better get Daniel out of here before she gets too much attention.
Welcome to Reach for the Sky billboards. Our billboards won't bore you. Wow, I haven't seen that like rainbow font since messing around with Microsoft Word ages ago. That was like the cool thing to do. I feel like I'm dating myself. Same with that website tracker thing where it's like, here's how many visitors you've had to a website. It's very like 90s. Reach 1 million drivers a year. I don't know. Have you seen how empty that highway is? Let our expert team of marketing mavens create your next ad. What would she put on there though? We have miracles. Oh God, did she put the stupid angel poster up there basically? This one.
She's running a typed ship here.
Live miracles.
Gotta give her credit for that.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't look like she has Canva on her computer. So, I mean, she's doing well with Photoshop. I don't know. That's still more technology than she seems to be using, but. Excuse me, Jacob.
I don't think there's anything worth a look in here.
Oh, boy. I am scared for what will be. What's in the cupboards? Outside of this room, house, and this community. This community feels like such a dangerous place to be in. What's in here? I almost didn't even look in the cabinet.
Fuck.
I'm glad I
is
did.
it?
I think that's the file Nicholas had.
Oh?
Take a look.
What? Is she trying to adopt Daniel?
Exactly. And she's doing it under the table, of course.
The fuck?
Man.
I mentioned the idea of grooming before. And it's not... Yeah, see, you're ducking. You're the smart one. I can't duck. The idea of grooming is not like... I feel like it's still a possibility, and I don't want it to be. I would very much not want it to be a possibility. I don't know what else to do in this house except leave. Oh my god. This game is horrible. In so many ways. Now
Look at
where?
that. Your mom is hardcore, Sean.
Fuck. This part of the game is a weird mixture between Far Cry and Midnight Mass, and I can't unsee it. I can't. Our mom doesn't even know about how dangerous our lovely friend with a gun is. She doesn't, like, what was she doing for however long she was gone? I picture her being like a poet or something. Instead, she's throwing Molotov fucking cocktails. I'm processing. Just a little bit. And in my brain, I'm like, oh, I hope nobody's hurt. Yeah, no, I think people are gonna be hurt.
I guess she is. So we're all good now?
Jacob is so fucking enamored with the fire. I don't know if it's with her mom. Like, not like, when I say enamored, I don't mean like romantically. Like, obviously. But it's just like the look of admiration, like, damn. That bitch had the guts to set it on fire. I wish I could do that. That was like the look on his face, and I love it. I'm here for it, all things considered. Damn. Damn.
I'll go get Sarah Lee while you get Daniel. Then let's meet up at the car, okay?
All right. You be careful, okay?
You too, Sean.
It's gonna be easier said than done.
Good luck.
Not the careful part, but like finding Daniel. I bet the Reverend has him. And there's that billboard. What the fuck? What did she do? Oh, that's not even like the main church. It's some other building. I thought it was like the church, but it's in a different direction.
See anything?
Fire.
No, you're all clear.
Awesome. Talk later.
Oh, I was like, where did Jacob go? He went through the gate. That makes way more sense. Stop it. Little ghost children. Oh, it's birds. I thought I heard laughter. It's not ghost children. It's a very good psychological horror for a couple seconds there. The only place I can think of for Daniel would be in the church, right? Because he's getting his special lessons. Ugh. Oh, there's her mom. I was like, who's that? Don't scare me like that, Karen.
Mission accomplished?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now,
I'm not the one setting fire to
You know what we can
everything.
do?
no. But
Do
let's
I
it.
ever?
Oh Lord, let your power speak through this young vessel. I am your humble
Sean,
servant and will obey
the hell is
your
this?
every command.
Special lessons. I thought we covered
It's
that.
Daniel. I
Speak.
told you, he's kind of special.
Oh, jeez. I forgot she doesn't know. I thought everyone knew. I thought that if she went to a service thing, whatever she went to, because that was the assumption, right? The assumption was our mom went, peeked at Daniel. I guess I just thought she knew. That's one of those things where, like, once you get far along in something, I think sometimes we assume that everybody else knows the same thing that we know, and they do not always know that.
Hey,
Sean, you take back?
Yo,
Daniel, little cub. Come with me, Daniel. We're leaving.
Hey, this is Mom.
Sorry, Sean. I can't.
She's full of shit, dude. And she's using you.
Daniel has
It's
made
true.
his choice, Sean. But I'm offering you to join us again.
I need to take a breath. I need to practice stopping and thinking before I act. Say something, whatever. This character aggravates me so much, and I believe she's written that way. All things considered, right? Like, you're along the same journey I'm at. You've seen the same things that I've seen, potentially more, right? She steps in again, and whenever we start trying to talk to our brother, like have an honest conversation with him, she immediately pulls him away. She's almost like, if we assume that she does this with everybody that Daniel comes into contact with, where it's maybe a meaningful conversation, starts becoming meaningful, we can assume that she is basically secluding him, isolating him from the whole rest of the world. Whether we would call this abusive, I don't know, but it gives me that feeling because our society often talks about abuse as though it is physical, like you have to hit someone. Abuse is not about that. Relationships that are abusive are really about power and control, and I'm sure I've mentioned power and control about this character a great deal. And power and control is not always in a physical way, right? So it feels weird to say if I'm hitting someone, I wouldn't, but like if that's the hypothetical situation that we were in, right? If I was hitting someone, what that would be is actually trying to physically control someone. That's what that is. But there are a ton of different ways that abusive relationships play out, as in trying to gain or keep that power and control that is an abusive relationship. There are a ton of different ways that can play out, whether that is manipulation, as in like trying to tell people that other people don't care about them or things like that, or gaslighting, or like all of those are examples. But there's an element of isolation that can also be a way to like keep people away from others, which is power and control. I don't know whether that would actually apply to the situation or not, but the fact that it comes to my mind, I think says something, because every time we try to have a meaningful connection with our brother, she pulls him away, isolates him, and talks for him. She doesn't let him have the ability to speak for himself. And this has been a pattern that we've seen at least a couple of times, so maybe we can start to assume that shows up other times too, when we haven't been here. Because he's not allowed to say anything, to the point where she told Daniel, like, go get the bandages, like gave him a task to do to keep him busy and away from everything instead of connecting with his brother. Not only that, she asks us, oh, like, you can join us. I'm sorry, but that just feels like a bit of whiplash here, because when we first met this character, she was like, oh my gosh, you want to join us? And we didn't know any difference. It was like, that felt like a genuine invitation. And then when we didn't accept the invitation, she kind of like turned on us and it was like, oh, well, you're a criminal now. But she had all this research on us, so she already knew that we were a criminal, if you will. But yet that didn't stop her from initially inviting us. So at that point, it felt like us rejecting her was more of the reason why she suddenly cared about us being a criminal. She sent out these emails to everybody else being like, oh, we're not really Sean. We're someone else. I doubt there is another person with an eye patch who's around our age going around. So but now that we're physically faced with her, she's like, oh, but you can join us again. So you went from full on warning everybody else in this community to watch out for us. We were threatened with a gun, by the way, to suddenly like, oh, but you can join us again. It's a bit of a like emotional whiplash. Like I don't know what to expect. Are you going to welcome me with open arms? Or are you going to push me away because I say something that doesn't work for you? It's so unpredictable, to the point where like I don't feel like I can trust this character. And another thing that I want to add to this is because like I know that sometimes there are people in our lives who demonstrate these things, and we care about we care about them, right? They're not villains in a story or something like that. And this is the kind of thing where sometimes we do this because of trauma, like our own trauma, or this is just how we've gotten our needs met, or we feel very intense emotions. And so sometimes that is something that can be done, or like that. These are all reasons why this can be why like our emotions or our reactions show up so strong, where it feels like it shows up one way and then another way. Because this can happen just to everyday people. It's not just a villain type thing. And there are reasons why it can happen. It's not just I feel like adding that stuff, because sometimes the mental health is always shown as a bad guy thing. And then we always see ourselves as the villain. And that's, if we see this as a people thing, it's easier to not shame, blame, and guilt ourselves if we are actually seeing a little bit of this in ourselves.
Your faith in me, and you'll be family.
Never.
So
that's
you'll,
your final decision.
when you say we'll be family, will you adopt me too? I doubt that. Because that's the other part of this, like the weird grooming aspect of this, I'm not a fan of.
May the Lord have mercy on your lost soul. It's time for you to leave our sanctuary.
I just want to put out there that isn't it supposed to, I keep thinking about that like website where it's almost like forgiveness and all that other stuff. Like, isn't forgiveness, aren't you like supposed to keep trying? Aren't you not supposed to just say that someone's a lost soul?
Right now.
Not without my brother.
I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. She's my family now.
Daniel, listen. She's not your family.
Sean? Who is she?
Our mother.
This will go really well.
She came here.
Oh, she knows it.
For you.
Oh, praise the Lord. Another miracle at our church.
There is some tremor in her voice. She is not happy with this situation. She knows that this is meaningful to Daniel.
Wonderful.
And now, like, try and take credit for it too, in the sense of like, oh, well, if we say this is a blessing, if we say this is somehow something that I kind of concocted or had something to do with it, then like, not that I want to take credit for it. I feel like maybe she almost might go for this idea of there's still no reason for you to leave, because if this community or I was a part in creating this thing, then what else will happen if you stay?
It's all right, Daniel. Go see her. I mean, she's right there. Don't be afraid.
I don't know her.
Of course. I know. This is hard for you, my son.
Stop calling him that. You're just manipulating him, you sicko.
That's in the eye of the beholder. But since you are his mother, let me ask you, how could you let your child wander alone in the wilderness?
These are some like spitting words. This is like, we're starting to watch a fight. Because like, the Reverend is starting to position herself literally, not literally, but like she's trying to make it literally like she's Daniel's mother. And then we actually have Daniel's actual mother. And they're fighting over him? This is weird.
Where were you when Daniel was lost? Where?
Listen, Daniel.
Here.
I came here as soon as I found out you were here on your own.
I'm not on my own.
Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him. You were blessed with a divine gift. And you cast him out into the world.
Who the hell are you?
You might have been his mother once, but when you abandoned him, you also gave up your rights.
Isn't your God all about forgiveness?
You have no
I said that.
idea what the Bible says. How can you pretend to care about these two children? You left them and your husband to seek out your base desires.
Daniel, honey, she's trying to trick you. Please, think by yourself. You're smarter than this.
Daniel, she's responsible for what happened to your father.
You don't know anything.
What?
It was an accident. That's what this world is about. Accidents, injustice, pain. I'm just so sorry, Daniel. I know how much I hurt you and your brother by leaving. I know it's not enough, but I hope we can talk about this together. That's what I've been trying to tell your brother, and I'm so glad he listened. You gotta trust us. She's using you for her selfish desires.
Daniel, this time the choice is yours. Are you going to believe her or me?
That that's an unfair choice. It's like, don't get me wrong, like, I feel like kids should have the ability to like choose things that happen in their lives like within reason, right? But the way that she phrased it is almost, it feels like it has this undertone of saying that the consequence of this choice is also on you. And that's the part that doesn't feel fair. It's almost like, well, you have to go with whoever you choose. So if you don't see the other one, that's on you. That's how that feels. And that doesn't feel great.
That's right. You can't tempt Daniel from this garden. He'll stay with us, his true family. And we'll never leave him.
Go to hell. Come on, Daniel.
No!
Holy shit.
Reverend, are you okay?
Nicholas, they're heretics, sent to desecrate our church.
Okay, what now?
Don't you understand? This is over, Sean.
You have to talk to him. You can convince him, Sean.
I won't leave you, Daniel. Not here.
Don't be so stubborn, Sean. Your brother chose his path.
Your friend, Sarah Lee? She's very sick. And Lisbeth won't take her to a doctor.
What?
Oh.
This is pointless.
Daniel knows who to trust.
Oh. The one colored picture, the one that had the most emotions with it, the one that I imagine will have the most impact. Oh, this is the one thing that's really made him doubt her the most. What are my choices? She went to the doctor, not a real Christian. A minister warned her. Faith in yourself. Ooh, a minister warned her. Faith in yourself. She went to the doctor. I feel like a minister warned her or she went to the doctor sound like the most convincing. Almost like she had all the information. It's almost like saying she had all the information in front of her and she chose, and then she purposely chose something that would hurt a kid. Like, that's what we're basically saying. She went to the doctor.
I know. She went to see doctors for herself when she was in pain. She never waited for a miracle when she was in danger.
Oh, we're talking about literally the pastor when we said that. That wasn't what I meant. But okay, I meant the kid. Like, she brought the kid, not she, but like the parents brought the kid to the doctor, who got a diagnosis, and then she chose to go against the doctor's advice, I imagine, but not what I meant, but okay.
What? Is that true? Reverend Mother?
Also
Faith
hypocritical.
in me, Daniel. I know what I'm doing.
She's not.
God.
That's not an answer to the question. She just says, have faith in me. She's completely ignoring answering the question.
Is speaking to me and to you.
Kicked out of the church, toxic community. She's adopting you. Oh, yes. Let's fucking call it the adoption.
She's doing paperwork to adopt you. And change your last name, Enano. Dad's name.
Yes.
Are you okay with that?
What? No, I didn't know. Is that why that card said Daniel Fisher?
Yes.
Of course not.
He's making everything up. Don't believe his lies, Daniel.
But he saw the card that said Fisher. So we don't have to have paperwork to prove that. What would Dad say? Ooh, the letter from Karen. You're smarter than this. Your homework. A letter from Karen. So the idea that like she intercepted a letter from the mom. But the letter wasn't to Daniel. I think it would be different if it was like, your mom wrote you a letter, but the letter was to Jacob. Your homework. Karen, your homework. Well, the homework was just like Bible verses. And he was religious before this, as in like he prayed with the grandma. Smarter than this, what would Dad say? These feel like important choices. Let's talk about the letter.
I found a letter from Karen, our mother, inside her house. She hid it from you, so you never know. She's looking for you.
What? You told me she didn't want to see me.
The more deceit we can draw attention to.
Hey, Enano.
Whoa.
No one is gonna keep me away from you.
I said stop!
Don't.
Almost like let him see that I'm hurt.
I came all this way for you, and nobody will stop me. I'll even
Oh.
cross hell or whatever.
This idea of I need to be the one to take these steps for my brother. Has to be me.
If I need.
Sean!
Wow.
Must learn.
What was it? Spare the rod, spoil the child? But she's making him watch while they take that idea and enact it on his brother. It's kind of fucked up.
Listen. I did my best job to be a good brother. And I know I probably failed. I took you for granted. I put you in danger. And I'm sorry.
Sean!
Don't listen to him.
He left you just like that harlot did.
Excuse
Shut
me?
him up.
He can hit me as much as he wants. I won't give up on you.
Don't hit him!
Wow.
Do that, Daniel.
I'm surprised he hasn't pulled the gun.
If I could go back in time, I would. We'd be in our living room in Seattle. That would get us pizza and snacks, then pick the movie, because we would always fight about it. He always picked your movie. But I can't do that. All I can do now is fight.
Quiet! What are you waiting for?
We're the best team in Ano.
There's the
We have to
gun.
Keep going
No!
forward.
What are you gonna do? Him? Please! He's my brother! You can burn down our church, but not our faith.
We didn't.
Daniel knows you're telling the truth.
I was gonna say, we didn't purposely burn down your church. And then I realized our mom burned down the other one. That doesn't count. It's not this church. Also, like, again, right here, we didn't purposely do that. That just feels like you're trying to slam insults our way. Because really, Daniel is the one who has the power here. As much as you may, like, not you, the reverend, maybe trying to, like, keep the power and keep the control over Daniel, it's this desperate, it comes from this place of desperately knowing that Daniel is honestly the one who has the real power here. As soon as Daniel changes his mind, it's all over.
Don't give up.
Oh, I'm not. I'm stubborn. Come on. This is a lot of pressing, eh?
Nothing is gonna stop me.
We
Daniel.
crossed a desert.
We're brothers. I know. Dad always said our blood link was the most important thing. You know.
Please! Stop! Leave him alone!
Daniel, listen to him.
I won't stop. No matter what she does,
Wow.
I'll come right back.
Nicholas looks desperate to get away from the fire.
I love you, Daniel.
I do too. him up now!
Don't move. Just stop.
If you want to kill me, then do it. I'm not afraid.
Do you really think that Daniel is just gonna stand there and watch while you shoot his brother in the fucking face after beating him up? Also, let's say he did. Right? Let's say that that's what happened. Happens. Verbs are weird. Do you think then he's gonna continue to do what you want him to do? Like, again, when we only use like negative reinforcement with kids, even if the bitterment and resentment isn't physical, isn't outward, it doesn't mean it's not internal.
Do it! Shoot! Don't!
Go ahead.
What?
Shoot me in the face. And live with it.
Now! Stop! Daniel! Sean! I'm sorry. Sorry. I was so confused. Thought she was someone else. I'm sorry.
Sean, we need to get out of here. Now.
Yes. Someone might have to help Sean walk.
Oh no. No. You started this fire. You will all burn in.
Again, Daniel has powers. I think you missed the memo. Not you. The Reverend. I was just thinking, should we get Nicholas out of the fire? He's an asshole. But doesn't mean that he should die. He's just kind of laying there. Real close to some flames. Apparently we're not. And now this. Feels like desperation. It's just like power slipping through her hands, and she's so desperate to keep it that it's like, fine. If I can't have it, nobody can. That's not going to end well for anybody at this rate. Also, I just picked up a gun. This is not going to end well. I don't want to be put in this situation where I have to make this choice.
This hell.
Move.
Daniel.
Let us go.
Move it. You won't leave this place. Not with me alive.
I don't like these choices. Ask Daniel to get her out of the way. Or threaten her. Oh, I don't like these choices. I don't like being put in this situation. We have a gun. She doesn't care. At this point, I don't want to ask Daniel to get her out of the way. I kind of feel like, considering everything that's happened, I kind of feel like Daniel's been through enough already. And like, yes, we're also a kid too. But it kind of feels like, let me handle some of this stuff. Oh, let's just threaten her. Oh, I don't like either of these. No, do not shoot her.
Move, or I will hurt you.
Sean.
Foolish child. You can't threaten me with death. I embrace it. I know what awaits me.
Oh, no. Ask Daniel to get her out of the way. Or get rid of her. This sounds like murder. I don't like the idea of murder. I mean, my thought was like, I mean, hell, we could just push her. Like, really, we got 3 of us. We don't even have to use the gun. Just literally with our bodies push her out of the way. Daniel, hopefully this is better than murder. Get rid of her. Oh, it sounds like we're getting rid of body. Gently.
Open the door, Nun.
Gently. Daniel, please.
Daniel,
Oh god, stop. Stop.
you can still repent. I don't believe you anymore. Ugh.
Bye. Oh, yeah. Get Nicholas out of the fire too, please. Just because he's an asshole doesn't mean he deserves to die. Hopefully we meet up with Jacob and his sister. That was the deal, wasn't it? I don't think this many fires in such a small area, because another 2 of them is great for pneumonia. Although I don't know what's good or not good for pneumonia. This is a very dramatic action shot. Oh, because there's probably music playing here. That makes a lot more sense now. Would it be like Michael Bay type music? Do not shoot us in the back. I swear to fucking God. Because we left the gun in there. Oh, good. They both got out. Are you trying to go back in? Are you okay, Daniel? Okay. But it's okay. Daniel's gonna have a lovely conversation with his mother. Bye. I don't think we should be smoking around someone who has pneumonia. Or is that asthma? I don't know, I'm not a doctor. Wear your seatbelts. Can't tell if this is like a relaxing, nobody wants to talk car ride, or like an awkward car ride. Seatbelt. Daniel. Just because you have powers doesn't mean that you are immune to like momentum. This is the end of the episode. My heart can't take any more faith. Oh my God, I can't handle more faith. Too much faith. Wow. Okay, there's the music again. What are my thoughts on this? The whole episode of Chapter 4, Faith. Episode 4, I don't know, pick a thing. I still feel like Life is Strange is a roller coaster. This Life is Strange is a roller coaster. There have been a lot of themes of racism and bigotry. Because there have been so many comments about like a wall, if you will. And some of it being connected to police, some of it just general, just overall. But this one was a very violent, quick left-hand turn into fundamental religious beliefs and conversion therapy. I mean, it's never what I expected this game, but I was not expecting that. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but not that. I think that something like religion is really hard to talk about. Any type of religious perspective, fundamental religious groups, non-fundamental religious groups. I think that that is a touchy subject because it's so easy for it to be taken as general statements or almost like personally. Even if we're talking about things that have nothing to do with, even if we're talking about fundamental religious groups, for example, we're not talking about a situation that most people are in. It's religion overall is something where we've just grown up knowing that it's such a touchy subject, knowing that we're not changing people's minds, knowing that it just so easily becomes controversial. I think they did it in a way that feels realistic as far as like how people react in situations without getting too far away from that, as in like they were able to talk about these things or demonstrate them or show them play out in the story without making it feel like it was like cartoon villainy. It still felt like how people react in situations, because the biggest things that stand out to me is like unrealistic or like silly things that aren't like overall gameplay. They're not huge major things. It's things like let's close the curtains when we're investigating. It's not huge major things. So I feel like if we're approaching a delicate topic, the way that they approached it makes sense to me. And I think there's a lot of value in approaching these delicate topics, because the more we talk about this stuff, the less it lives in the shadows, the less avoidance we're essentially having as a society. I think the fear with that is kind of like this idea of, am I going to be canceled, right? Kind of like, how much am I going to piss people off? And I think that those fears feel very real at a certain point, because, you know, if there's so much controversy around what you're trying to produce, then no matter how good your story is, your story gets clouded, your story doesn't get heard. So I can understand why there's hesitation to bring stories about controversial topics like into the public or to light. Let's see the consequences of our actions. Also, this end screen is a hell of a lot better than the last one where we're just laying there alone. I failed both vision tests. That sounds about right. That's like the minority. At least most people pass at least one of the tests. I got shitty eyes, okay? You told Agent Flores the robbery was Finn's idea. Oh, the majority of people did that. It was true though. Like in my playthrough, it was true. It's not even an exaggeration or lying or anything like that. Most people said that. The least amount of people said it was your idea. I wonder how much the idea of like telling the truth versus trying to just tell her a lie or tell people what they think that she wants to hear impacts like how people respond or responded in that situation. You convinced Joey to help you escape. You attacked Joey to escape the hospital. That's the one that has the smallest percentage. You attacked the guard to escape the hospital, or you escaped the hospital without hurting anyone. Oh, that was an option? Fuck. I mean, like, but attacking Joey gives him plausible deniability, though, to, like, keep his job and license and all that stuff. I didn't talk to Finn. Yes. You talked to Finn and blamed him for what happened in Humboldt. Oh. Yeah, but, like, there's already enough shit that's happened. I don't feel like, yes, like, I like, could blame him, but there's enough shit. There's enough people probably blaming Finn. You talked to Finn and forgave him for what happened. Oh, that's an option. Interesting. I wonder how that would have impacted things. Or Finn just wasn't there. Maybe because he's dead in those playthroughs. Well, you didn't try to take the toy back and didn't break it. Oh, so when we were being, like, confronted and assaulted, we could have tried to take it back. Oh, but we would have tried. Oh, nope, too far. We would have broken it. Oh, when we sang to them, we could have sung in Spanish. I just refused to sing and got beat up. Majority of people did that because at that point, like, screw you. You know, if you're just gonna be an asshole to me, not you, again, like people in the game, if someone's gonna be an asshole to me, I might as well just have the satisfaction of knowing that I got my big personal, like, fuck you. Oh, and some people just weren't asked to sing a song. Those lucky bastards. 90% of people got an Anton struck to reach Haven Point. Well, because the other option feels like death. We could walk the entire way. Damn, no, thank you. 68% didn't give money to the church. I mean, all things considered, overall, you tried to let Karen open up to you. 93%. You were hard on Karen during the conversation. You cut the conversation short with Karen. Ooh. You stayed outside with Karen when she smoked. Oh, you smoked a cigarette with Karen. Most people did that. You didn't stay outside with her. I refused Karen's help. Yeah, I did, didn't I? You accepted the help. Yeah, I guess it does make more sense to, you know, if you get her to open up, to just accept her help too. Almost like reciprocal in that nature. Transactional. Nicholas was unaware of your presence. I wonder what impacts that. Was it because nobody saw us? Because it wasn't, I guess I don't know, because I would imagine it would be free something like nobody saw you versus he was just unaware of us. Yes, I decided to share my money with Jacob, and most people did. You managed to hide from Nicholas. Is that because he didn't know that we were there? Oh, I got caught by Nicholas. That sounds awful. You and Daniel both spared Elizabeth's life. Oh, we each could have killed her. You shot Elizabeth while Daniel wasn't hurting her. That is the least amount. You shot Elizabeth while Daniel was hurting her. Oh, double whammy. What was it? Double shot? Double? It's been a while since I've seen that movie. You let Daniel unleash his power on Elizabeth while he was hurting her. Oh, I don't know what choices would have impacted all of that. Damn, okay. What about for Daniel, though? We only had one choice for him. Maybe it won't give us a choice for him because I guess we were the only ones really making choices.
This is it.
Oh, this is it. This is it.
We made it, Daniel.
What do we do now?
I don't know.
Make our way across.
The wall.
You ready?
Yeah, I think.
We are criminals. I suppose we can't literally just go through regular old border. There's the wall again. Regular old border patrol things. Checkpoints. That's the word I'm looking for. Well, this is a good place to stop. Yeah. I love your thoughts on the video and the game, and I'll see you next time.